Overall, I kind of dig it, but it could be.
Son, what are you watching there?
Well, Dad, it's Larry Arts Productions, home to many types of content, including stop motions, reviews, unboxings, and other types of videos.
I knew getting the internet for my kid was a mistake. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're proud to give you the playoff coverage for Season 4 of these truck drivers. It's the round of 12. It's our first race of 2 for this round, as it is the Old Green Garage 108 here at North Wilkesboro, a track known last season for building the most drama. It was the cutoff race to see who was running for the Final Four. They had to push it back sooner into the playoffs for Season 4 because they just could not get the heat built up just yet, but we cannot wait for it. It's going to be a good one here tonight. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, round of 16 is done. We've lost 4 drivers, and now starts another journey of the 12 that are rest here. Can they move on to the Elite 8 in 2 weeks?
Ooh, it's going to be fun to watch, Sam. I mean, you talked about the drama that built up here last season, making that Final Four. Well, here tonight we have more chances to build more playoff drama here. And with this racetrack, it's very worn out, very slick, and very tough to tango with and have those perfect driving maneuvers that you need to get around here. I think these drivers could have a few hiccups here that could set them back for this round.
There certainly could be. It's drivers currently underway with qualifying. Drivers with a last-minute attempt. It's going to be Jesse Thornock in the 20, hoping to get at least a lap or 2 to finish out their qualifying run, as there's 45 seconds left in qualifying. The 4 drivers we lost last week, GT Rosari, Noah Steele, Tyler Dengler, and Joshua Kanata. Those 4 drivers, I would say, some pretty much a note we expected, others complete surprises, which means the drivers we thought maybe were going to get knocked out still in the playoffs. I think one note is got to be Matt Upbrook in the number 15, one of the bigger underdogs that it made it past the round of 16. I think, Zach, we had Noah Steele last season being the Cinderella story. The question now is, how far can Matt Upbrook go, or could he find a way to steal this championship from some of our top dogs here in the ISRC Truck Series?
Well, the beauty of the format is he has a chance. He's got an equal chance as every other driver out there to go win this championship, and we'll get to see how well he does, but he has been the Cinderella story, no doubt indeed.
As drivers qualifying is done, let's see how the driver's going to set up here tonight as they are getting gridded up. Big shout out to the title sponsor for that of the ISRC Truck Series. That's Race Car Graveyard. If you'd like to get yourself a diecast collection, start with going to Race Car Graveyard, as they've got plenty of choices from 1/24th ratios to 1/64th for diecast. New, used, all are available, as well as custom. Just remember to go to Race Car Graveyard on Instagram and use the promo code RCGY for 10% off on your purchase. As here's where the drivers are going to be starting up front. Danny Cochran, who was a driver of real big note of speed last season here at North Wilkesboro, will be taking the pole. John Forbes, expected to be one of the heavy favorites, going to take second. Christopher Norris, where did he come from? Going to be in third, with Malik Kuntz going to be in fourth. Nick Crawford fifth. Martin Morales, what a start for himself here with qualifying sixth. Mark Whitley, one of the heavy favorites, down in 7 for the 77, with the numbers aligned for him to get to victory lane. Ethan Smith in 8th. 9th's going to be Trenton Jump, and Dakota Moniz finishing out our top 10.
Cody Reed's going to start in the 11th position. Alongside him will be the 21 Kyle Rochelle in the 12th spot. 13th's going to go to Joshua Kanata, with 14th being the 12 car Ryan Crowfoot. 15th's going to go to Eric Stamp. 16th's going to go to the 7 of Cody Smith. 17th's going to be the 15 of Matt Upbrook on his Cinderella story. 18th's going to be Logan Brakey. 19th's the 20 of Jesse Thornock. And rounding out the top 20 is Tyler Thorne in the 26.
21st going to be that of GT Irizarry, who got knocked out of the playoffs, expecting a good run. But in 22nd place, we haven't seen him for almost a season and a half. It's Jacob Morris, who we did not see any practice time nor any qualifying. We don't know what speed the 23 is going to have. Let's see how he runs tonight. Ali Fonseca, who got the pole here last season, wasn't able to get a qualifying time in here tonight. He'll be in 23rd. 24th is Justin Smith. Ryan Ferraro back in 25th. And Tyler Dangler finishing out our 26 drivers this evening, as drivers getting themselves lined up and ready to go. Zach, already a little bit of a switch up front. Danny Cochran deciding to change lanes. He's going to be starting from the top.
I like that decision from the two team there to go to the top side, get that lead position, or get that outside for the good spot coming through 1 and 2 to get the lead position down the back straightaway on that next lap. So I like that decision a ton from the two team there. I think, you know, it's just a much safer spot to restart in. When you're on that bottom line, sometimes you can make it work well, but usually it's that top side that fires off way better coming off a 2. And then you hopefully by the time you get back to the start-finish line, you're completely clear of that driver in that second position. So liking the decision made there from our pole setter of Danny Cochran, and we'll see, could he start off this round with a bang here by getting to the lead early.
Some drivers with restart violations as well as pit stop violations last week. Ollie Fonseca as well as Justin Smith going to be starting from the end of the line with penalties. We'll see how well they can recover moving up through the field. But up front, we're ready to get green flag racing for that of the Old Grid Garage 108. Danny Cochran, John Forbes. It is the start of the playoff racing for the round of 12 as the 2 sends it down into turn number 1.
Great restart there from the 2. I didn't even have any challenge going down here through 1 and 2, but it's John Forbes now with the 98 of Malik Kuntz, who's trying to make a great run here in the playoffs by being outside of him, but making the consistency for maybe a next season run, because we know he's just had terrible luck when it comes to finishing races.
It has been the biggest talking point where the 98 can be up front for the first half of the race, but how well can he finish at the end of the day as our first caution strikes, and it's a playoff implication. But that of Dakota Moniz caught up in this one.
Big incident there, like you said, Moniz involved in the 5 machine. That's terrible to see for a playoff contender like that, but early in this race, you're going to see possibly a little bit of drivers over driving these entries to the corners till they get in rhythm, and I think that's maybe what kind of led to this playing out here to bring out our first yellow. And you know, it's got to be a tough break for Moniz, who comes in here so hot after getting into that next round here.
Well, last week was cutoff race when we got to see drivers at Homestead taken out. It was Joshua Kanata who found himself being ran over by a non-playoff driver. Well, here early at North Wilkesboro, it's the 5 Dakota Moniz getting ran over by the 21 of Kyle Rochelle. Once again, a non-playoff driver taking out a playoff driver. And Zach, I mean, once the 5 goes up, the 21 tries his best not to influence anymore, but the damage was already dealt.
It was already dealt for sure, and that's just a hard hit into a concrete wall without a safer barrier, and major damage there. And you can even see the 6 there, Justin Smith. He's sliding through the background trying to get slowed down. That's another tough thing. When someone starts wrecking like that, these trucks have the tendency to want to over-rotate on the brakes in the entry of the corner. So when you got to jab that brake even more to miss a wreck, it's very easy to end up making the mistake there and spinning yourself out.
I also saw on that shot, Matt Upbrook very close to being involved with that wreck. Luckily was able to avoid late. It's 15 over other playoff drivers. Luckily not caught up in that one. It's only Dakota Moniz, which for Dakota, that is not the way that he wants to start out this round of the playoffs. But luckily for Dakota, he is not in as big of a deficit as he was in that first round. After the first round of 16, going into the round of 12, only the playoff drivers that get a win get a bonus, and that is a 5 bonus that drivers are given. Because Trenton Jump won at the Daytona Road Course, and that of Mark Whitley won last week at Homestead. Both drivers are getting a 5-point bonus. Everyone else started on equal ground. So for the 5, as long as he can get the damage repaired, which he has, he's back out there on track, and he can minimize the damage of losing points. Hey, going into next week at Nashville Superspeedway should not be too tough of a hole to dig himself out of, but certainly an early scare, Zach, as we are in the middle of stage racing, stage at the end of lap 65, and we're only on lap 6.
It is already early for a first yellow, but I tell you, it's going to happen here at North Wilkesboro. I mean, it's just such a tough track to not have any mistakes, because you're fighting the truck itself, but you're also fighting your competition with it being a playoff race here. And just a tough break for Dakota Moniz to start out for him, but like you said, he can bounce back from this. This is a track that doesn't utilize too much downforce for your truck. It doesn't really depend on how well the fenders are flared out. So even though he's got that damage, he should be good as long as he's got full engine power. I think the 5 is still going to have a shot to get himself back up in the mix when it comes to those points. But look here again, Danny Cochran taking the outside line. I like this call. And now the 38 of Christopher Norris, he may have an advantage here starting in 4th.
And Danny Cochran going to wait for the pace car to pull down, but that green went flying before the pace car was off track. Luckily, they get to the restart zone a little bit cleaner, and the 2 is gone already with over a 3 trunk plate lead over second place is Malik Kuntz, as well as the 38 of Christopher Norris. Norris making the outside lane work for himself as the 98 swamped by playoff drivers.
Great job out of 38 there, but the 11 of Forbes is going around here in the middle of 3 and 4, and we got another yellow. Looks like Kanata involved there in the 16, and multiple other drivers involved in that. But John Forbes going around here after starting in the 2nd position. This has not gone well for the 11 team.
Not as well as also for that of the 11, his teammate of Ethan Smith, and the 00 caught up in with this one. Got a little bit of front end, leave right side damage. I mean, left side damage for himself that he's going to be working with as we're getting the replay. I mean, Zach, this tonight, North Wilkesboro, we know short track racing can be catastrophic at times with some of these big wrecks and getting drivers in trouble early, but already 3, maybe even 4 playoff drivers caught up with damage just in the first 10 laps of this race. Oh, it's gonna look like this is gonna be a long one here tonight as we look at the replay here.
We're going to see here on this replay, it's all over the back bumper of Malik Kuntz in the 98, and you can see into the interior 3, rear end just stepped out, and that was under braking. Had to probably jab that brake not to get into the 98 since he was so close to him, and that weight transfer, shoving that weight on the front of the nose of the truck, took all the weight off the rear tires, and that 11 just never had any grip. But got to give a shout there to Mark Whitley. He did an excellent job to go very patiently around the outside and miss the 11 and get no contact.
Yeah, that was a great move on the 77's part, who was up 2 positions now with these early spins. And Ethan Smith now heading into pit road, joining Dakota Moniz, Joshua Kanata, John Forbes, as well as Kyle Rochelle coming into pit road to get repairs done. Early incidences are showing. And Zach, with all these cautions that are coming out, no one's getting into that true rhythm except for Danny Cochran, who gets to test another restart and try to perfect how he wants to take off on these starts, which we saw last week at Homestead for that of Mark Whitley. Restarts were the big factor that got the 77 up front, and that clean air is so important.
Clean air is so valuable. I mean, it's more valuable personally than anything out there. And with the restarts, the way Cochran has been doing it on the outside groove, he has been very, very good at getting the launches at the perfect time and to get completely in the one with nobody there near him. It puts that second row behind him, side by side entering one, and that's just the best thing to have in your mirror because you know you can just methodically drive your truck, not have to use your equipment up to keep that driver behind you. So I expect him here after the pace car lights to go out to jump back to that outside line, but you can see Christopher Norris, he's like, come on, man, just take that inside so I don't have to start second on the bottom because that's where the 38 is going to be in a tough position.
As they cross the line, expecting the 1 to go indicator where the 2 is going to move forward, and they expect to see what they're going to do, and it looks like for Danny Cochran, he's staying put. Zach, he is not moving. He's got the opportunity if he wants to gas it up and change lanes, but it looks like Danny Cochran going test fate here on the inside.
Well, if you're going to do it early if you're going to test something. So I like the 2's decision here to try it early in the race. I still think he'll be fine because of the timing here, but we'll see how it works out. Can the 38 time it well enough to stay side by side?
Well, here we go. 3rd restart of the night. It's the Old Green Garage 108. Danny Cochran is gone as he gets a fabulous launch for himself. Still not as big as when he was on the outside, so maybe he'll transfer it if we get another yellow. As Malik Coates trying to fight back on that of Christopher Norris, not able to. This is our front 2 in line, staying stable, but here's the chaos. Mark Whitley trying to move his way higher than just in the top 5.
Mark Whitley was so fast in the practice session, kind of surprised me with how bad of a I mean, I say bad in 7th, but how, just lower of a standard of a qualifying effort it was from the 77 there, but already up in the top 5, and he's going to be up there competing for sure. But Martin Morales, he's the driver I think that shined out of a, upwards trending start there in that top 6.
Hot to see the Color 2 graphics machine a little wiggly there at a turn number 4. That's Trenton Jump, and Trenton Jump, Ethan Smith. I mean, Zach, that is the true drama we talked about last season. Both getting caught with disqualifications, having too many incident points, and what capitalized it for the both of them was that of seeing Trenton Jump intentionally wreck the 00. Will we see any intent wrecks as we're riding on board 46, getting a sense of what it's like as he's cutting down below that of Malik Kuntz?
The aggression is there from the 46 truck. He's trying to go forward right now and get this position on Malik Kuntz. And, you know, looking back to that last race we had here with his intentional wreck there with him and Ethan Smith, before that, you know, all was happening, the 46 had good speed all day in that race. It just was his long run speed was always just very, very, you know, rough when it came to him here at North Wilkesboro last season. We'll see if he can fix that up maybe here, as he's got Martin Morales looking to his inside now here down in the 1 for that 6th position.
Or Morales, one of the few times he's had a chance to be up front challenging with these leaders. A fantastic qualifying run, qualifying 6th. He's only lost 1 position, but keeping pace. This is what you love to see from the 91, is being up front and challenging these contenders. This is, again, finding that momentum that maybe you could carry into next season, and that's exactly what we like to see from this 91, being able to be up front, and as well see Malik Kuntz up front running well. How long can the 98 stay up front, and will he collect anyone else? Is that bad luck? Can he finally break it here tonight and go for that top 5 finish?
We'll have to see if that happens here. So look farther back in the field, you got Logan breaking in the 29 machine. He's got Ali Fonseca in the 24, and this 24 machine having to come from the rear of the field with that penalty. I say watch out for this truck. He was very strong here last season in North Wilkesboro. So we'll get that 2nd place finish behind Mark Whitley. This 24 will be making some noise, I think, before this race is said and done.
Playoff drivers passing playoff drivers. Logan Breaky falls down to 13th place. Matt Upbrook trying to figure out how to get by that 29. Not able to just yet. As the 15, the Cinderella story of what a fantastic run he's had these last 2 weeks, and trying to find that consistency into tonight. I mean, before Bristol, this 15, Zach didn't even have a top 10 finish, and he has been on a tear these last 3 weeks.
It's amazing to see how the results have changed as they got closer to those playoffs, and he's continued it into the playoffs. So definitely proved me and you wrong, Sam, for thinking he would be one of the first 4 out of the playoffs, but just shows you that drivers can flip that switch, find that right momentum at the right time. As even sim racing itself can be one of those positions where you just get into a streak of consistently being able to perform, and then you get into those down streaks. So right now he's in an upswing for the 15 and doing a great job. We got a wreck up in front of him as Ryan Crowfoot's around here. The caution's out.
And that's on the exit of turn 2, and a tough spot. A lot of drivers have talked about having issues, but we'll have to see what exactly happened to the 12 to get him in this spot, because looking back at it, I think he might have gotten just a tad bit of help for the 12 to get him spun around in that spot of the corner.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of help here from a shoulder check from another truck. And, you know, I think when we get a look here at it, it'll be interesting. And this is one of those deals at North Wilkesboro where I think it's kind of a racing ordeal, because it's really 1 and 2 the way it's ran here. So you're going to see on this instant replay, Ali Fonseca, that 24, he's going to dive to the inside of that 12. This corner here, though, people want to turn down the racetrack, and I think the 12 is trying to, you know, shove the 24 down the racetrack farther, but the 24 is about only a half a groove off the bottom. I mean, that's pretty much on the flat, so he can't go too much lower without touching that grass. I think the 12 and him just going for similar space on the racetrack right there, and that's when the 2 lines combine here at North Wilkesboro, as that inside and outside line are very vital.
And I know also, listening in to Joshua Kanata as well as Ryan Crowfoot, and the way that they were trying to prepare for this race coming into tonight, and that of Ryan Crowfoot felt like the staying as low as possible at the exit of turn 2 was the best run that you get off the exit of the corners, and so trying to find that aggression certainly was there, but contact was made, and swapping positions up front, 2 of the fastest drivers of the night, Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, both into pit road for tires and fuel, as well as having Logan Breaky, Dakota Moniz, Josh Kanata, and others into pit road. But Zach, it's the top 2 that came through. Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley obviously thinking a little bit of strategy here as we're closing into the halfway marker of this stage.
Very, very interesting here. This is going to be fun to watch now. What is the difference here with, you know, them restarting back in the 16th and 17th position for that 2 and that 77? We'll see. Can they get themselves rolling here on their new set of tires? Because looking at Christopher Norris, who's now our leader of this race with how this is played out, this is great for him because he's getting bonus points first off and leading the laps. But also, the tires weren't at the point where they were starting to fall off too much. We had a 19.103 was his fastest lap. The lap before we ran for the caution came out was a 19.488. So I mean, he was only 3/10 to about 4/10 slower than his fastest lap. And putting yourself back in the danger here to short track, that's an option that you got to weigh out. And then that 2 and that 77, they took a big risk here. They're definitely going to have the grip advantage, but will they have the time and the patience to get through?
That's the big thing. I know for Mark Whitley, that was something he talked about last season. If you were watching our Lung Run series, where we got to have that in-depth listening first playoffs for season 3, Mark Whitley talked about that was one of his weaknesses of when he was back in the middle of the field. He felt like he would just overdrive, get too aggressive. Will he be too aggressive further back? As we've already seen drivers get ran over. Will it happen again as we're back to green flag racing for the old green garage? 108. Christopher Norris gonna be gone. Malik Kuntz diving it down low, side by side for second place as Kuntz trying to hold steady, and he'll keep it side by side down into 3.
Doing a good job in the 98 there. That bottom line can work, and if you're just patient and make sure you don't, oh no, we got a caution.
Caution flag waves, and it's gonna be that the 12. Ryan Crowfoot spun around once again.
And another playoff driver involved in this one. It's the 5 of Dakota Moniz. And man, this was a tough one because there's just a simple accordion effect that plays out a lot of times in short track racing. A driver runs up on somebody faster than they were thinking, and they have to slow down very quickly. So as we get this dialed up, I think you're going to see here just a chain reaction event that just led to some misfortune for 2 drivers.
Yeah, and the judging of when to come onto the brakes, so difficult to decide, and for Dakota as well as Crowfoot, just difficult timings, because I think they also were trying to judge on the driver in front of them. It's going to be the 19. You see Tyler Daimler already on the brakes. Dakota not even expecting it. He'll let slam on the brakes, and that accordion effect you were talking about, Zach, gets the 5 hit contact, already sideways, grinding on the inside. And then the 12 also getting a little bit of assistance that bounces him around, and a great wreck avoidance by the 00, as well as the 16 you see there, getting around drivers.
It was close for a few drivers there getting through, but man, you got to feel from Moniz there, that playoff driver involved in his second incident of the night. And just again, that accordion effect that happens so fast on a short track. And Sam, you brought it up, it's hard to judge a lot of times where people are going to brake, because people do brake in different spots. Some people are more comfortable braking later. Some drivers are more comfortable braking earlier in the corner. So it makes one of those things where sometimes it can get a little bit mixy entering those entries on a hard braking track like North Wilkesboro. But right now, these caution laps here, I think this more or less helps these drivers that have stayed out. It's just going to make less laps for them to have to run here under green. That gives those newer tires less of an advantage.
Well, we are now on our 4th caution of the day. Want to give a shout out to one of our events here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting coming up in the next couple of months. It's our first time ever putting it on, and it is going to be that of our Coca-Cola 600-like event, but it's our charity race. It's the Gamer Outreach 600. We're taking the Gen 4 Cup cars, high horsepowers to Charlotte for 400 laps, 600 miles. All will be here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for a great cause, and all this on June 10th. Very easy to get a part of. Go to our Discord. We've got plenty of information to let you know on how to get involved. If you want to be a racer, you just want to donate, how to share, all in our community Discord channel. But Zach, just as simple as donating $5, you could be a driver out there on track for our 3rd charity event ever.
That you could be, and man, this is going to be one you don't want to miss out for. And like you said, make sure you join our Discord. That's where you're going to find all the information you need to get into the Gamers Outreach 600, as we're going to be loving to see that. June 10th looks like it's time to get back to racing here at ISRC.
ISRC, it's going to be Christopher Norris, Malik Kuntz side by side, ready to get rolling as the pace car pulls off. We're back under green flag conditions for the old green garage 108. Norris is good. It's side by side action for 3rd place, though. We're trying to jump, trying to make that outer groove work for himself.
Jump is driving through the field. Started in the 9th position, now breaking his way into the top 3. This is a great sight to see for a past champion here in the 46, who's coming off some great momentum from that last round, having won there at the Daytona Road Course.
And knowing how important a win can be for one of these playoff drivers, if they get it done, that is 5 bonus points. It's going to help you into the next round and automatically lock you in. There's still plenty of racing, and there's still a stage break to be thrown. At the end of lap 65, yellow flag will be thrown for these drivers. The top 10 will get bonus points heading into the playoffs. Every little point mattered just to get to this point, get through the round of 16. And you're seeing it now as, oh no, it's Matt Upbrook. Hard contact for the 15 machine. Another contact and wreck as more drivers pile it in.
It is a race car graveyard here in turn number 3, folks. As people are trying to get it back going. It's Ryan Crowfoot also involved in it again, and I think he hits the outside wall even after the fact there. So, man, tough breaks, and that was right in the middle of Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley in that hornet's nest after they pit.
I hope it's just one of those small 30-second required damage flags there, Zach. But the 2 last season's champion required damage. He has to go to pit road. Same for GT Rosari. And Matt Upbrook, who had probably the biggest contact to the inside wall, he's got no required damage somehow.
That is weird to see. I'm not going to lie. That is an interesting thing that played out there, because looking at the contact myself, I'd seen it happen, and I didn't think Cochran's damage was too bad. And like, hopefully, like you said, hopefully it's a quick required damage flag for him, because the hit here you'll see off of 2 is not that massive as the 15 here. He's going to get a little bit loose there. You see him get loose into the door of the 24. That's going to shoot him back out into the outside wall. And right there, Cochran going to hit the rear end. Yeah, that's it. And, I mean, not too considerable, and it's done required damage to that truck.
Unluckily, it was just the simple 20 seconds of repairs, and he's back out on track for the 2 of Danny Cochran. He will also stay on the lead lap, but a huge scare for last season's champion. But, man, the late hits, that contact is what's put GT Rosari into pit road. And then they just continue to pile in as drivers not able to woe up for one another.
They were definitely not able to get slowed up enough there to get out of that jumble up. As you can see, it's going to happen up here ahead of this group. And, just into the rear bumper of John Forbes. And heavy collision there for GT. And just couldn't really see anything. So that was one of those things where things get clogged up quickly, and you're involved in it faster than you feel like.
As drivers that are still in pit road, as we've gone through this pit cycle, that of Jacob Morris, as well as GT Rosari and Ryan Ferraro, still getting damage repair, sitting in pit road. As we've only got now, we started with 26 drivers. We're down to just 19 that are on the lead lap, as everyone's racing to catch up to the pace car and tail end of the leader. But up front, it is still Christopher Norris. Danny Cochran again took a set of tires, risked it back at lap 36. Same with Mark Whitley. Currently, though, Mark Whitley's up to 10th place. Logan Brakey also came in with that strategy, the 29, up to 11th. So the tires starting to move closer and closer up front. The question is, if we get a long enough green flag run, how then will they compete compared to those that are just trying to make it to the end of this stage with the best track position they can, as we're stacked up, ready to go. Lights are off. Drivers are ready to go back to green flag racing. Already quick 5 cautions. Will we find our 6th here just as quickly? Pace car pulls off. We're into the restart zone, and we're green for the old green garage 108 once again.
Great start from the top side. That inside line led by Malik Kuntz. Just no traction trying to get that truck going. Stacked up everything. That allows Nick Crawford to move himself from 4th up into 2nd. And now Trenton Jump making a move to the inside back in 3rd. Just outside of our picture. And he was loose in that corner. I thought we were going to be a yellow for sure.
And Trent Jump just seems to be willing to be aggressive. You already saw how much he was willing on the outside. Now on the inside groove, trying to find any bit of traction to get to the quarter panel. You see here thicker in the field of John Forbes, as well as Logan Brakey, trapped behind drivers that are just lingering in position. But everyone also knowing in the distance very closely, it's the 77 of Mark Whitley. You see there in the white and red, trying to make his charge forward side by side with Ollie Fonseca, who as well, Ollie, what a run he's having as being our biggest mover, as everyone's right on top of each other.
Oh man, this is starting to heat up here with Mark Whitley getting into the mixture here as he's coming onto the back bumper of Cody Reed. Fonseca is trying to go through, and right now the 77's trying to find holes to get through, but when they're too wide ahead of you, you can't go to that third lane to make something happen. So he's going to get stuck for at the moment. But if he can get past these two, he's got some clear track up ahead to where he can gain on that top 5.
I think also that could give us a good picture of what those tires are looking like, but everyone's still staying side by side for Ollie Fonseca and Cody Reed as they continue to just watch how the battling in front of them with Billy Kuntz stopped to the outer groove. It's kind of causing another wall of how drivers are running as they finally get in line. We're starting to see drivers stacking up with one another. Exactly, accordion effect always looming. If it can attack one of these drivers just out of 4 or 5 cars back from where it starts.
It does. It starts with one driver up ahead of you, and then it trickles back. And every truck it goes backwards, it gets worse. So that's one of the things where it usually ends up the driver about 4th or 5th in line is the one that really gets the brunt of a checkup from an incident. So we'll see if it comes to fruition again. But here is Martin Morales, dude. He is trying everything in his power here to move his way past the 98, and what a run for this 91 team. This is great to see. And a little shot there in the middle of 1 and 2. Now maybe go look to the outside.
Those elbows starting to show a little bit of wear after the 91 has been doing a couple of body slams, couple of bumps. It still is not phasing Malik Coates as he continues to stay in point. And behind them, still side by side, it's a little bit stacked, but Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca, just again holding back the speedy 77 Mark Whitley, who, Zach, we know at some point Mark's going to get fed up, and he might force it 3 wide here as he was thinking about pushing the limit for the 77.
How much is he willing to risk here? It's a new round. He does have those bonus points from that win that helps him, think about maybe risking more. But at the same time, it's still not even the completion of stage 1 yet. He needs to get these points here to solidify himself here a little bit better heading into that next race at Nashville Super Speedway. So I don't think he's going to risk too much, but at some point he's got to force the issue because these two ahead of him have just been side by side, and he cannot find a ways. He was going to look 3 wide there, but just not enough grip.
Thought about it, thought otherwise, as one of our drivers has been lost. That is Jacob Morris. Glad to see him out on track as, caution flag waves. Backstretch, Ryan Ferraro troubles for the 51. And this caution is going to set us up for one more restart before our stage. And this is going to make things very interesting for how the end of this stage is going to go, because now Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca, no longer going to be side by side. It's going to be the whole entire field now joining with them as we get the replay set up with you to see exactly what happened to the 51. Bring out this yellow.
With the timing of this yellow, some drivers may be looking to pit here now and stay out of the stage, especially if you're not looking to get stage points. If I'm someone farther back, I possibly think about doing that right now, since we've seen these older tires be able to hold on out front. But here it finally is, the instant replay, and man, oh man, right here, you're going to catch the grass for Ryan Ferraro, and he's going to spin around in that 51 machine, and just so easy to do. You're trying to turn down the racetrack to get the good runoff. You clip that grass, and it's like ice, man. This thing goes straight around.
Certainly does, as that will bring out our caution here tonight. The 51 trying to catch up back with the field, and only a couple of drivers thinking about pit stops. Justin Smith, Ethan Smith, as well as Cody Smith. All the Smiths going to be getting themselves service done for themselves, as the field up front all going to be staying with the tires they had. Again, top 10 for those that are still in the playoffs, going to be getting bonus points, as the 12 drivers we're watching out here tonight. Leader Christopher Norris, second place Nick Crawford, third of Trenton Jump, as well as fall down to 6th for Ollie Fonseca. Cody Reed in 7th, Mark Morales 8th, then fall down to 10th where we find John Forbes, Logan Breakey, Danny Cochran, Matt Upbrook. Then in 15th, somehow wounded, damaged, but still running this race. In 15th is Dakota Moniz. And that is where we're going to be falling even deeper into the field, where we see that of Ethan Smith in 20th position, as that is going to be where your playoff drivers are running currently. Again, Jacob Morris, it was great to see him out on track, but he will be our first official DNF of the night for the 23 machine, leaving us with 25 drivers out on track, but only 20 on the lead lap.
It was great to see Jacob out there, man. That is not a common sight we get to see anymore. So it's always good to see him get out on the racetrack, just having to come to an early end here tonight. But, you know, I looked at a driver like Ethan Smith, who just pit there that last time by. I can see that 00 stay out under this next when we get that stage caution there at 65. I think he's going to look to do that so he can try to jump everybody else in front of him. He does have a good bit of right front damage from contact earlier in the race, but that still will give him some track position, and that is going to be very, very valuable, as we've seen, as Christopher Norris has got the lead and has not given it up since.
And we start on the outside. Is that 38 of Christopher Norris going to have Nick Crawford, his teammate, to the inside groove? Then in third is Trenton Jump. How will these drivers tackle this run? As if we get a caution before the end of lap 65, that will be the stage as we're back to green flag action and stacking up in second position. Nick Crawford almost slamming on the brakes and coming to a standstill on the entry of one.
He slowed it way up, and same there in the 3. If he can get a good roll through the center and get a good run off, he may be able to compete with that 98 there, as Christopher Norris trying to run away and win his first stage possibly here and look to get those 10 bonus points. So this 74, he wants those second place bonus points because he knows how valuable that could be for him.
Better get running because Mark Whitley no longer has a wall stopping him. Those fresher tires making the outside lane work beautifully for the 77. As for now, trying to move up to fourth place, Christopher Norris holding for now as we got 3 laps to go in our stage. The lap stage break soon to be striking as drivers deeper in the field starting to get a little bit more crazy, but up front, it is constant action, and there's the yellow, and that's the stage break as the caution flag waves, as I believe it was Tyler Taylor, I believe that caused this yellow nose smoke in front of him that got drivers sideways. It was Eric Stamp in the 53.
I think this was contact from the 2 machine of Danny Cochran, so little extracurriculars between 2 drivers out there, and 53 a Stamp goes around, and Cochran even gets more damage on the nose of his truck. So after getting that required damage fixed earlier, he does not want to concern that truck anymore, as it looks like everybody coming to pit road with the end of the stage here now.
Into pit road goes the field, and staying out. I love this decision. It's Matt Upbrook staying out for the 15, trying to get at least a lap led. As when he came into pit road, I think he should be, with the amount of cautions we have, fuel should be good for the 15. Again, it's tires that he's more so concerned about more than anything else. See drivers in, out, taking off. Ethan Smith, Mark Whitley, fuel only for the 00 and the 77, as they are going to be beating out Christopher Norris and others that will be falling deeper into the field.
Interesting call from the 77 team there to take fuel only on that stop for him. So, you know, definitely a gutsy call, as I think, actually, sorry, I went back and looked at it. It looks like he took two right side tires. So Mark Willie there with the right side tires, and that's a gutsy call in my opinion, because that's going to make him a little bit freer than maybe he's going to want to have there. So we'll see how that works out for that 77 crew. But the 15 getting some laps led out here, that's good for him, but does have a ton of damage on the nose right now, so we'll see how he can manage it with that. And like you said, no worries with fuel, but I think at some point you will have to worry about tires, and he's going to come down the pit road here and give up the lead after getting those bonus points.
And with that, we'll move down to Christopher Norris, who should be moving up to fourth place, who was our stage winner at the time. As we head to that of the 38 machine, get his thoughts. Christopher Norris, it's Sam and Zach with Booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Stage winner, how does that feel, taking those maximum bonus points from the stage, as we still got a lot of racing here at North Wilkesboro?
Yeah, indeed, a lot of racing to go, but it's going to help me out a lot. Just hopefully it sets us in the right direction for the end of the race. A little bit scared right now because I have Jesse Thornock and Ethan stayed out on old tires, but hopefully we can just get by get back in the lead and continue to lead the laps.
Well, you've been great so far, Christopher. How's that truck feeling balance-wise out there for the 38?
Pretty great. I know I was probably one of the fastest without tires the last one, so I'm hoping I continue that this one and we can go green.
Well, Norris, we'll send you back to your team, but good luck for the rest of this race.
Thank you.
As that's going to be the Snowy Desert Racing driver, Christopher Norris. He's going to be back up front, starting on the outside lane. But how well will this restart go with Jesse Thornock and Ethan Smith being the front runners? Oh boy, here we are. It is time for us. No more stage racing. It is all about winning here tonight for these playoff drivers. as the pace car pulls off. The old Green Garage 108 is back underway. With that, I've seen the 20 machine, the 00, and Mark Whitley. How patient will he be as we go into turns 1 and 2?
Oh, there's a major wreck in the one here, and look at this pile up here.
That is not good at all, as everyone piling in. Matt Upbrook involved in this, one of the playoff crew. And I think he might be one of the only ones as drivers are puttering away. Kyle Rochelle, oh, it is continuing to stack up on required damage. GT Rosari, Joshua Kanata, Tyler Horn with the black flag, Cody Smith, Crowfoot required damage. Tyler Dangler, Kyle Rochelle also added to those that have to go to pit road.
And I'll tell you what, we talk about an accordion effect here, folks. This is going to be one of the biggest accordion effects you can have. I don't know if Christopher Norris had a problem on the restart from the 4th position, but it's going to start a checkup that comes all the way from that 4th position that trickles all the way back to around the 12 machine of Ryan Crowfoot, who's in the 16th position. And I mean, it's just going to create just a logjam headed into one here, as we're going to see. I think you're going to see, look at the energy coming back here on this replay from these drivers, as it's going to slow now from Reed into Breaky. Moniz is checking up for it. Crowfoot there trying to check up too, but the 21, I think a Kyle Rochelle there, I believe, comes in, hits him in the rear, and from there, Sam, it is just a melee.
As you see that of the 16, the 19 just being a wall, blocking the whole entire course and no one having time to stop on a dime, as that pile up taking out the majority of the non-playoff drivers. I mean, this is incredible action on what we've been seeing so far. But Zach, the fact that it took out that many drivers with required damage, GT Rosari's already called it a night. Oh boy.
Oh boy, is the right way to say it, Sam. I tell you. And you know, when I looked at that list the whole time, I was like, "Who's the playoff driver? Who's the playoff driver?" And it just wasn't popping up any of the playoff guys that got required damage there from that. So there was a lucky case for a lot of the playoff guys that made it through. But man, this doesn't open up that many points to gain, with people farther back being already wrecked out of the race, and most of the playoff drivers still left in this race. So the points available to them is much less, but they also got to just worry now that hopefully they can survive this thing, because it's starting to turn out now to be somewhat of a survival race.
I'm currently listening in through the driver's chat as race control is talking to the drivers, saying, hey, what do we want to do here? We've had plenty of quick cautions. There is a threat and a chance that we could go to single file restarts. We're going to try a couple of still stacked up double file restarts, but they are talking in conversations. If we have a lot of quick cautions that pop up, we could be going to single file restarts here. So we'll keep our eye on that, as Jacob Morris, GT Rosari, as well as Ryan Crowfoot all have called it a night, as we still have plenty of other drivers in pit road trying to get their required damage fixed up. But up front, it's Ethan Smith, that of Jesse Thornock. Green flag is out. The 20 machine got a fabulous launch for himself, and here comes Mark Whitley as Christopher Norris cutting on his teammates' front bumper quickly there.
Norris taking no prisoners in the 38 machine, jumping down there in front of his teammate, like you said there, Sam, and he's not going to try to waste any time to get past Ethan Smith. As Mark Whitley, he's trying to waste nothing here, because he's got Thornock in front of him. He's got those two right side tires. We'll see how well do they work for this 77 here, as he's pouncing right now. His old Nick Crawford, big moment as they're wrecking farther behind.
Oh, and it's going to be John Forbes, Ollie Fonseca, hard contact for the both of them. Looks like Mark Morales also got a glimpse of that carnage. But, oh boy, again, we continue to look at the list of if anyone gets required damage, and it looks like luckily no one gets required damage from that, but spun around is the 11. Again, we're seeing some of these drivers, Zach, who were caught up in earlier incidences, they just keep on getting more and more damage piled on. The 11 added to the mix for another incident.
Tough ordeal there, and it's one of the things that happens when you get caught up in those incidents. It pushes you farther back in the field, and I like to call it the hornet's nest back there, because everything trickles back there, and you're usually the one that gets stung in the middle of a situation. And it seems like Forbes was that driver, and again, just seemed to be somewhat of an accordion effect of a driver making a mistake in the 74, Nick Crawford getting sideways and entry to 1. That checks up the 46 of Trenton Jump, who has to turn underneath him. That checks up John Forbes. He gets hit by the 24. I mean, there's literally no time to react for a lot of these guys, and it's just leading to little incidents just like that. So it's stacking up now for a lot of guys, and it's just seeming like they keep getting back in the same ordeal.
Last season, we had intentional wrecks, bad blood shown, and there were only 9 cautions last season for that race. We are already at 9, just 78 laps in. But the big difference as well from last season to this season at North Wilkesboro, the incident points. There is a limit that you can take on the amount of damage you take in or the amount of times you hit the wall, go off the track. There is a limit of 20 incident points. Last season, there was 16 incident points, and then you would be given a black flag, and then if you hit 20, you'd be disqualified. There is no longer that 16 incident point black flag given to these drivers. And Zach, that's something I think a lot of these drivers got to be concerned about, because they could go over and get disqualified already with the amount of drivers that have been caught up in wrecks in just the next 2 caution flags that come out. If they're caught up in those, Dakota Moniz, Danny Cochran, John Forbes, they are at major risk right now of getting disqualified.
I mean, I look to last time we were here at North Wilkesboro, we had 9 cautions. We're at our 9th caution right now, but we're only 80 laps in. So we had 9 cautions last time we were here, and we had 3 drivers over that 20, incident limit. So I think we may see someone here at some point get the DQ and be knocked out of this race, and that's going to be a tough situation because some of those incidents aren't your fault. It's just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So these drivers are going to have a lot of angers heading into Nashville Superspeedway if that happens to them.
As now for this restart, going to be seeing drivers in line. Now it's going to be Jesse Thornock, Mark Whitley side by side for the lead position. Then second row is Christopher Norris, Emily Kuntz, Trent Jump, Nick Crawford, Eric Stamp, Fonseca, Mark Morales, as well as Logan Brakey, going to be your top 10. Ethan Smith did come into pit road for fuel and tires for himself, and damage repair for the 00. As we're down to just 19 drivers left out on track, as we're back to green flag racing for the old Green Garage 108.
And here comes Mark Whitley diving to the outside of the 20. He was a little loose in the 1 for the Thornock in the 20. And right here, Mark Whitley fighting to the outside. And with him also, he's going to bring the 98 of Malik Kuntz, as now it's going to be Christopher Norris stacked up behind him with Trenton jumping the 46. And if 20's loose here, he's going to stack up that inside more.
What a save by Jesse Thornock as he gets loose out of 4, giving the lead to Mark Whitley, who's going to be trying to just gap himself from the rest of the field. Malik Kuntz gets pushed up the outside wall, but keeps it off somehow. Side by side for the battle for 2nd and 4th is Trent Jump. Christopher Norris almost rubbing fenders off the exit of 4.
Say that 38 said, I'm jumping to the outside of this 20. I don't want to be stuck behind him. And right now, he's almost looking to the middle there. The 98 of Malik Kuntz is now the 20 going to slide up in front of the 38. And now that's going to open up the opportunity for the 46 to go
Malik!
through.
Contact overcorrects up into the wall, and Christopher Norris gets hard contact, as well as others. Malik tapping a couple of more. As the 98's bad luck strikes finally here. And Zach, you had a feeling it was coming at one moment, and it happens at practically the halfway marker.
It is, this one here is just an ordeal that's just so unfortunate to see, because the 20 gets in too hot, loses the rear, and takes out the 98, who, I mean, it just seems like week in and week out he could be running in the top 5, and it doesn't matter for him, as here comes Jesse Thornock down the pit road. But the 38's the one that got the worst ordeal there, is because he's got a destroyed nose, and he's a playoff contender after having a good win in the stage earlier. This is not what the 38 team wants.
I mean, that's a massive plus, though, Zach. With the amount of drivers that continue to just log out and are calling it a night, Christopher Norris could technically get just as many points as someone that finishes in 2nd place, even if he calls it a night now. So luckily for Norris, it sucks that he got caught up in that wreck. You can see the damages. There's the front end just completely squished and smashed after he ran into that of the 98 machine. Tough pill to swallow. 10 cautions in. Oh boy, there we go with more incidences piling in, and this is just what North Wilkesboro can turn into, is caution fest and cautions breeding cautions even more.
And those tempers are only going to rise more because the patience gets slimmer and slimmer, knowing that you have these short bursts to go and get positions. You don't have much time to go out there and get things done quickly. So you got to go for it when you can. And usually when people do the full send technique, it usually ends up on being a incident that leads to more yellows. So that's where I think the cautions breed cautions saying comes in for sure. Is North Wilkesboro is a prime example of one of those tracks.
It certainly is, as drivers getting themselves prepared and ready to get rolling here tonight. And the question is, will we go single file on the next restart? It sounds like we're going to stick with the double file, but drivers right now are pleading over the radio, let's try single file restarts out and see if that's going to fix the issue. But I mean, Zach, we got a kind of a couple of laps in, and it was just drivers trying to make passes that got that caution flag waved, and drivers just kind of being a little bit too aggressive at times.
Yeah, I completely agree, Sam. I mean, changing to single file, I don't even know if that's going to change too much. I mean, yes, it will help spread, I think, the field out a little bit, and it won't be too much side-by-side action, but all it takes is one person to get loose on the entry like Thornock did there, and you're taking out the person ahead of you. So it's one of the more deals where I don't think single file will change much.
We're down to just 17 drivers on track now, and only of those 17, 16 on the lead lap, as we're back to green flag action. Mark Whitley taking off on the outside lane, trying to jump Nick Crawford, as Crawford gets chopped off once again on the front bumper, but off the exit, it's single file for our top three.
Single file up front here now. It's the 38 Christopher Norris trying to defend here with that nose damage, and I don't know if the power is down, but just not getting the greatest runs off for the 38 as he's going to have Martin Morales now, Eric Stamp in the 53, and it'll be Logan Brakey next to try to go to this 38's outside.
Yeah, I think he's underpowered. He's just not be able to get back into the throttle as aggressively as he was before. And you hate to see that for a driver that got the stage win, was placed in good positioning for good points, and now it's survival mode. Just get whatever you can at this stage of the race. As we're past halfway, it's all about getting to the end of this dance. And right now, Mark Whitley leading that charge as Trent Jump looks to be finding some speed in that of the 46 machine. The two drivers that won in the last round trying to be the first to win here in the round of 12.
It's no surprise to see these two battling for 1-2 at this race so far. I tell you, they definitely made that first round their own and put their stamp and their name on it. And now they're trying to do something similar here. I'm interested to see how the 77 is going to drive, though. He did take two tires.
Oh, trouble. Sorry to cut you off there, Zach. Matt Upbrook on the entry of turn 3 got spun around for himself as he ran into the 00 of Ethan Smith. That got him spun around. And the 15, more damage, more incident points as he is now back up to speed in 15.
Oh, and he misses turn 1 big there for that 15 machine, and got those bonus points for leading the lap earlier, but now in the 15th position. This is not what the 15 team wanted to have happen to him after having already sustained a ton of damage earlier in this race. It's going to be tough for him heading into National Super Speedway next week to try to climb out of possibly a hole he'll be in here. But Logan Brakey right now, he's trying to defend this 25, and there's the 2 of Danny Cochran who's trying to still make that recovery run. He has a ton of nose damage still in the 2 machine, but it doesn't seem like any power damage for him as he's able to drive pretty well off these corners.
Driving pretty well, and that's one thing that you can take away from this is just continue to try to hit your own pace and get whatever you can grab at the end of the day. And this is allowing some great runs. Again, we already saw the great qualifying from the 91 of Mark Morales, and now Eric Stamp, 2 drivers that have had some issues here of late. And the 53 and the 91, non-playoff drivers, but doing a great job right now in 5th and 6th place.
They really are. I'd say Morales has been here the whole entire event so far, and Stamp, he's driven his way up from 15th here. So it's showing right now 2 different tells of a tape for the race for them, but they're both having an excellent event so far with the misfortunes for a lot of people out here. So we'll see what they can create of this opportunity and see if they can move themselves farther forward. I mean, the driver ahead of him, he's took an opportunity, and I still worry for the 24 who's in 4th because I did get word he's got 16 incidents already in this race, so he needs to go without getting another 4X car contact out there if he wants to make it through this event.
And as well, with drivers that haven't gotten a contact, there's a bonus point to be grabbed with 0 incident points, which there's just probably 2 or 3 maybe playoff drivers that have that chance. I think Cody Reed, Logan Brakey, and Nick Crawford might be the only ones that have a chance to grab that bonus point of our playoff contenders. Everyone else has gotten tapped and has gotten a fender crinkled somewhere on their truck. As we are in the final 75 laps of tonight's race, as they look to be finally spaced out enough for us to take a commercial break. We'll see how long they can survive for this run, as when we come back, we'll take it to the end of this playoff racing here at North Wilkesboro. Thank you for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be right back for more of the Old Green Garage 108 at North Wilkesboro.
Wanted the best, you got them for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
I think I watched Josh 3 or 4 times before I ran the car. He killed them every race, and it was like stout fields, like good cars, big races, and I mean, he was unbeatable. And I was like, oh man, this is, like, I'm nervous. I was so nervous getting into the car full time this year after watching Josh win 3 or 4 races straight. These cars, they have a lot of horsepower now. They have over 500, and I think 5 years ago they didn't have 450. They're gonna be a handful to drive, but just don't overdrive them. Let the car do the work.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series for Season 4 playoff action. It's the first race of the round of 12, the Old Green Garage 108. It has been a cluster of drivers, patterns of wrecks scattering all throughout the beginning of this race. We started out with 26 drivers. We're down to just 17 out on track now. As we got to give a big shout out to the sponsors that allow us to give you the coverage of the ISRC Truck Series. It's Race Car Graveyard, the title sponsor of the ISRC Truck Series. They've been here since day one. It's been a pleasure to have them with us, as they are the place to go. Get yourself some diecast. Go to Instagram and look up at Race Car Graveyard and use the discount code RCGY for 10% off. As well, the Laugh Lap. The Laugh Lap is our stage sponsor for the ISRC Truck Series all throughout this season. If you want some great quality laughs and memes, go to the_laugh_lap on Instagram. And our final sponsor we're going to give a big shout out for is Larry Art Productions. If you weren't here at the start of the broadcast, hilarious, funny videos to watch. Larry's got you covered. Go to YouTube and look up Larry Art Productions as well on all socials. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors as we're seeing the drivers ramping it up. Christopher Norris trying to get by Logan Brakey for 9th place, and Norris finally in the position, Zach, where drivers are drowning so slow that even being underpowered, he's got a shot.
This underpowered condition will hurt him on short runs, but it actually is going to help him a little bit on the longer run. It's going to help him have a little bit better traction, not hurt the rear tires as much as the drivers ahead of him. So if he can get around Brakey here, I think he can put down some good lap times in this 38, because he's been running a good line. He's been fast all night long. It's just that power is going to hold him back when it comes to the shorter runs. But right now, Brakey's doing a good job of just defending, because, again, not having that top end speed that the other drivers will have, that's still going to make the passes that much tougher for the 38 to complete.
As these drivers all around been having some great runs, but here is one that has been from top to bottom. Martin Morales, what a showing from the 91 machine, probably one of his best qualifying runs of the season. He's qualified in 6th, running in 5th. He's been up front all night long, and this has probably been the biggest non-playoff driver run that you could ask for. And Martin Morales, certainly, this is great to see from the 91, as he's still right now just holding off for 5th, but he's got to be careful because Cody Reed is trying to close in on this gap, but he's back in 7th.
He's trying to close it down there for sure, as now again the 38 to that inside position there, as he's just not having the luck that he needs to get it done, but he's going to fight back and dive it down the inside once more, and hopefully off the exit of 4 here we might see this 38 get it done. But you can see that 29, just that extra horsepower and speed and power down the straightaways, he's able to pull back alongside that 38. The 38's just going to have to slowly and meticulously work over this 29 and just hopefully clear him at some point.
The more that these drivers continue to be side by side, the more that's allowing the 6th non-playoff driver who's trying to close in on the gap, Justin Smith, who I'm looking at the last time these drivers came to pit road, the 6th on fresher tires than the 2 drivers ahead of him. So for that, Christopher Norris and Logan Brakey, they got to be careful, because we've seen non-playoff drivers influencing the playoff drivers all night long.
We've seen a lot of influence from outside sources for sure from those playoffs. So luckily for Christopher Norris, he gets the pass done, and now he's going to try to drive forward here. We'll see if he can do anything to go forward, but right now it's Nick Crawford up in the 3rd position. He's got to be looking behind, because right now Ali Fonseca turning some good lap times, closing in on him, as Nick Crawford's been able to close down the jump, but just has not been able to work him over.
It's been catching up to the 46, and then once he catches up, it just seems like he's used too many tires to get to that point, and then he'll fall back, go about a half second, then close back into the group, and that, seesaw action isn't allowing the 74 any help, and if anything, it's allowed Mark Whitley to just have the confidence to see the wheelmanship there of the 74 cranking the wheel off the exit of turn 2.
I remember last time we were here also, this was a struggle for the 74, was the longer runs. He just always was loose on entry and just couldn't keep the truck underneath him when it came to the exits, and seems to be doing a better job here tonight of it after running in the 3rd spot, but just not doing as good as I think someone like Ali Fonseca in the 24 who's right behind him. I think the 24 just getting a much straighter exit, a much straighter entry, and not really overheating that right rear tire. As you see, look, just drops it lower, takes a much lower line. That's going to put the load on that right front tire and not that right rear, where that outer groove could sometimes just load up that right rear as you carry just that much more speed.
Ali Fonseca, a driver that ran so well here last season, come away with 2nd place, as he also had the pole with being as fast as the 24 was. was not able to qualify because of having a restart violation for the 24. And just imagining, Zach, what Ollie's night could have been if he didn't have that penalty from last week at Homestead that made him start the end of the line, not able to qualify. And as well, at this point, you reported on it, the fact that he is at such a high incident limit set that he's got to be careful to hit anything, if that's the wall, grass, or another drivers.
He's hoping this thing goes green and nothing happens in front of him. And he has no mistakes, because if he does hit something, it's probably going to be night over for the 24 team. And after getting a penalty last week and coming back to fourth, that's not what you want to see for him. But we jump back to the 29 here, Logan Breaky in the 10th position. He's got someone who's been having a series of misfortunate events here tonight in this 11 truck of John Forbes. He's trying to recover, though, and make something out of a race that has really just been a downer for him.
It certainly has. Qualified second, nowhere to be found of up front action since probably around lap 20 for the 11 machine. But up front currently right now, it is all Mark Whitley and Zach with the runs that we've been seeing from the 77 this season. I think there's really no surprise on the fact that he's up front dominating this race. Also due to the fact that he won this race last season, and all the races that he's been competitively strong, he has dominated every time we go there.
He really has. It's just a domination from the 77 truck, and I'm not too surprised to see him out front dominating this race. I love the line he runs there in 1-2, keeps it much lower, just a much straighter exit than a lot of other drivers out there. Also here in 3 and 4, very, very good at getting just a straight run up off there to keep the tires underneath them, and that's what makes him good here. If you can keep that rear tire underneath you and keep your slides to a minimum, where I'm watching other drivers, they're on entry almost sideways, on exit almost every corner sideways. This 77 is getting sideways but immediately correcting it, and that's what he's doing. He's just staying right on the edge of the grip level, and that's why he is so quick around this racetrack. Because I think right now we even got a battle for third with Fonseca starting to climb his way up to the side-by-side with Nick Crawford.
We got two different battles. You got the battle for third that you see on screen, Ollie Fonseca, Nick Crawford, as well as a battle for 10th place, John Forbes and Logan Breaky. But we keep our sights on this action for 10th, because there's been a lot of action of blinking, but holding on is so far John Forbes. He's trying to gain every spot possible, as Logan Breaky, though, has just not looked comfortable these last couple of laps. The 29 could be an issue, because that outside lane is not where you want to be on old tires.
It is definitely not. It's hurting those tires, and Forbes trying to make the bottom work, but just could not get the run he needed to get it done. And even here is the 24 still fighting for that third position, just showing that you can fight from that top side. It is, you know, the probably not the preferred groove when it comes to this racetrack, but it's the preferred groove for defending for sure, as 24 has just been trying to work over the 74, but has not been able to get a good enough run out of turn 2 yet to stay right alongside him.
Find every opportunity you can. Here comes Ollie Fonseca once again to the inside, getting into the throttle, a little bit of a wiggle by the 74, trying to keep it off the exit and off the wall for the exit. And you have to be careful on that back stretch. And a driver that's not careful on the back stretch, it's the 91 of Mar Morales, who's trying to get moving. And there's the yellow flag flying. And this is going to reset everything. Zach, this is almost identical to what happened last season when we had to go into overtime because a caution came out late.
It really is identical almost to that situation, man. This is, you know, not too surprising. Tough for Martin Morales, who was having such a great run all night long. But I'm not too surprised by this. I've had experience in this truck just recently at this racetrack, and a long run here, it is very, very difficult to drive. I mean, you are pretty much on the edge every single part of this racetrack, entry, center, and middle, off. So I'm not surprised too much to see this 91 around off of 2 here to bring out the yellow, because it's just that hard to drive.
And pit road is busy. Everyone coming into pit road to get service done. Mark Whitley trying to get into his box quickly in, stopping on a dime. These boxes so small you easily can overshoot it and waste time for yourself if you make any type of mistakes. As you get to see the drone swerving around and get to see where the drivers are racing off pit road. Mark Whitley beating out Ollie Fonseca, but it's very close between Ollie and Trenton, and it looks like Trent jumped just by a nose, beating out the 24.
Oh, that's good for the 46 machine there. Who that 24 was making waves there at the end of the run. I tell you, the 24 might be the one to watch out for here. But I think they're going to have their hands full when it comes to Mark Whitley in general, because now he's on 4 sets of 4 good tires instead of just the 2 right sides that he had. This could very well be Mark Whitley's race to lose here, to move him on to that next round, to get prepared for that, those final 2 races in that round, to maybe go for another championship.
I was thinking about pulling up and talking to the 77, looking at our driver listings that we can pull. The 77's not one of them. He is focused, dialed in. He's in a completely different Discord channel, so we cannot even pull him up. But that 77, Zach, in a strong mode, trying to get himself into a position to win and lock himself to the Elite 8, where the ultimate prize of trying to win a championship Mark's been fighting for. And behind him in second, Trent Jump. He's already done so. Back in Season 2, when Mark was not racing in that second season, Trent Jump found himself taking the prize. And the other driver that's won a championship, Danny Cochran, back in 7th place. What a run for the 2. But Zach, we talked about it, not wanting a caution. Worst case scenario, 3rd place runner of Wally Fonseca. He is gotta be scared knowing these final 30 laps, anything could happen that could get him disqualified. And we've already seen disqualifications in past races here. Will it happen to the 24 tonight?
Very possible that it could, man. This is what they call go time. And this is where he's got to worry, because he's got some drivers behind him that are going to be hungry to make their positions better. I mean, you got Cody Reed in 25, Eric Stamp, Danny Cochran, Logan Brakey, all those drivers right behind that 24, that if one of those get into him too much, one of these drivers ahead of Ali Fonseca get into the driver ahead of them too much, they could go around, and that could be the 4X that takes him out of this race.
Thanks so much to everyone who's been watching this race here tonight, as we are green here for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. The old Green Garage 108 down into turn number 1. It's all the 77 as Trent Jump slides in front of that of the 74. And somehow they keep it clean, but for how long is the true question, because those tempers about to fly as everyone in line for the top 5 at least.
This run right here is going to be all out, no saving. Everybody's going to be giving it everything they got here. Every ounce of effort and talent is going to be put into this racetrack. And right now, Trenton Jump trying to do his best to keep it close, but it's Cody Reed there battling with Trenton Jump's teammate Logan Brakey off of 4, and he's got Danny Cochran also right there. These are all drivers looking to better themselves and get more points to help them for this round.
Cody Reed's got to be careful, because again, he's looking for that no incident point, bonus point, and grab one. The point can be grabbed if you do not make contact with anyone else, and he's surrounded by other drivers that have been caught up in wrecks or incidences. And Danny Cochran, with the amount of damage he has, he cannot afford to make any bumps or bruises, but the 2 wants every position possible and just can't find an opening as he dashes down below the 25.
He's diving it there to the bottom of that 25, and that 2 is beat up. But he's trying to make the most of a beat-up day after qualifying on pole and getting in trouble there in the middle of the field. Trying to make the most here, but Brakey going to pull down in front of him. That's going to stop his run forward. And now the 29 almost pulled in front of the 25. That causes a little checkup. And 3 wide into 3.
And somehow Logan Brakey holds on. He was swerving back and forth on the edge of the corner. They'll stay 3 wide, still side by side. The 29 going to be grabbing slight damage from that Cody Reed on the right side of the 29 machine. They keep it dicey, but somehow straight.
Wow, that was close action there between this group here. Is the 3 wide into the corner sideways in the middle. Normally doesn't work, but you got to congrats Logan Brakey there for the great wheelmanship he had right in the center of that corner. As now he's going to have drivers such as Dakota Moniz, Justin Smith right behind him, as the 2 going to try to set his sights back on the 25.
Setting his sights forward on a driver that he works with, practicing most weeks, is Danny Cochran with Cody Reed, and these 2 drivers certainly know each other's styles on all the amount of practice they've put in the last couple of seasons with one another. On different teams, but alliance-wise, they're trying to have some good runs to finish off here at North Wilkesboro. Danny Cochran seeing an opening as Cody Reed moves up in a lane, and here comes the 2 trying to get to the quarter panel, but a little bit of a wiggle there.
A little bit of a wiggle, but he dives back to the inside here in the middle of 1 and 2. He's going to have the quarter panel there on the exit, but the 25 just a good enough exit going to clear him, but the 2 not giving up, diving it back to the inside, and the 25 up the racetrack a little bit. This is going to open the door for the 2 to get alongside, but again, the 25 with a good enough run to clear the 2 machine.
Racing with respect as we're seeing this battle for 6th place raging on. It's the closest battle on track. Besides that for Logan Breaky and Dakota Moniz, as yellow flag will wave, and it's the 6 of Justin Smith spun around, as this is less than 20 to go, and we're going to be down to around 15, maybe less than that once we go back to green flag action.
A little bit of contact bringing out this yellow, and that was the driver trying to make a recovery drive. The 91 of Mark Morales getting into the 6 here of Justin Smith, bringing out this yellow. And man, Sam, this is setting up an interesting circumstance. I don't think you're going to want to pit here, but I think some drivers might elect to try to do it, as there was a bunch of fake outs going down on the entry of pit road. But I can tell you now, everybody up front electing to stay out, but we do have a few takers farther back in the field.
I'm not surprised by that. Some of the takers that are coming into pit road already are dealing with some major damage. Mark Morales, Christopher Norris, Ethan Smith, Matt Upbrook, Ryan Ferraro, and Justin Smith all coming into pit road to get service done. And I got to say, one of the drivers, I'm kind of curious on their thought process on it, but it could be the fact of maybe they used up all 4 sets of tires they have. Dakota Moniz or Ryan Ferraro, I mean, that of John Forbes, the 5 and the 11, or even Logan Breaky, if they would have thought about taking tires, because they're close enough where if we go green, they could have an advantage on the drivers ahead of them. But again, it's only a small advantage over the fact that these drivers up front, they've only put on 12 laps of green flag racing action on their tires.
I am surprised to see a few of those guys in the midfield. They're not being takers. So, you know, they felt like the option of track position maybe would be better. And, you know, I can somewhat agree with them there. You know, short tracks are places where tires do matter, but I feel like track position is the king thing here when it comes to these racetracks. You just got to be able to put yourself in a position to be ahead of your competition and then hope you can hold them back. But sometimes you got to go on that offensive and try something outside the box, and I think that's what a lot of guys have done so far, taking 4 tires here when they came to pit road and getting some damage repair for a lot of the guys farther back in the field.
They're already trying to make the decision and showing that Mark Whitley's going to take the outside lane. No surprise, as that has been his bread and butter all season long, take the outside lane. And you might be wondering, how is Mark Whitley getting a better jump than all the other drivers? It's because he has been reading and keeping up with the rule books on how you can take off. The ruling is, as long as the fact that the drivers see the pace car completely off the racing surface, you can go. You do not have to go inside of the restart box that we usually see for other leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And for that of Mark Whitley, he's kind of using that to his advantage. He is going right before the box, so it looks like it's fooling the other drivers on when they actually want to take off.
He's got to stay he's up to date with the rules, and that's the key to be as a driver. Is you got to know what advantages and what, you know, gray zones you can take advantage of. And the 77 has definitely been excellent on the restarts, and that's a good reason why. He just catches these guys off guard, it seems like, almost every single time.
And if you're going to get a championship, it's like real racing. Find every loophole possible to get yourself into victory lane. As the 77 is gone, he's already got a huge gap over Trenton Jump, and Jump just in defensive mode, trying to hold off Ollie Fonseca as we're closing in to 10 to go very quickly here.
The laps are clicking away, and Mark Whitley trying to drive away, but it's the group back farther around Cody Reed in the 25 machine, who's trying to hold on to a top 5 spot. He's got Eric Stemp, Danny Cochran, Martin Morales in the 91, who was just involved in that incident, came down, got some tires. He's trying to get up in the mix, passing Logan Breaky.
Going maybe fresh tires was the key to factor to get yourself a chance for a better finish at the end of the day. And some of these drivers in the middle of the field decide not to come into pit road for tires. They might be hurting now, as the 5 trying to move forward, the 91 trying every advantage he can. But for Danny Cochran, he's got to be careful. That 2 is so damaged. He's on the same kind of strategy as the 24 on the fact that they're trying to stay away from any more contact. Another one could be the disqualification, as we're on 10 laps to go next time by.
You got to imagine it's close for that 2 team on that incident points for sure there, Sam. So he's got to be worried about that now as he's crossing back over on the 53 to the inside of Eric Stamp here. And this is going to be valuable points here for the 6th position on this 2 truck, and trying to make the recovery with all that damage. This would be a great effort from that team.
trying to build up more of a gap to that of Dakota Moniz as well, as Ethan Smith, the 00, not giving up here tonight, as he's just cracked the top 10 with hard aggressive racing around the 5. As they continue to race on, Mark Whitley on his own time zone, as going to be seeing the 5 getting very loose back there in 11th place, trying to get past Logan Breakey though. Old tires, he is dropping back a lot easier, Zach, than I was expecting to see, with 9 coming to 8 to go.
He is really struggling right now to hold these guys back, and he's got Ethan Smith, who's pretty hungry right now, who's had a mediocre race tonight, getting caught up in stuff. He's trying to make the most of it though and get some points here late, and he goes to the outside of the 29, and that's a great job by him there, because they're gonna be side by side in 3.
Side by side, trying to take that 10th and 9th place position. Who's going to be in the right spot? It's the 00 on the outside, able to clear as Logan Breakey losing more ground for the 29 machine, and now he's under fire for the 6 as well as the 5 right behind him on where to go. And in front of them, Martin Morales trying to crack into the 7th place position as he's trying to get by Eric Stamp and follow in the tracks of the 2.
Martin Morales getting aggressive here, trying to make the most of a great night that kind of had a hiccup there with that self-spin off of 2. And right now trying to get himself up into position to get maybe a top 5 run for the 91 team. And it's going to be close to almost door banging there. Aaron 3 is the 2 up ahead of him. Cochran, he's going to be trying to make the pass on Reed.
5 laps to go here tonight at North Wilkesboro for the Old Green Garage. Top 4 completely spaced out and gone from the rest of the field. It's the battle for 5th on back. Everyone still stacked up on top of one another. One small mistake will send us into overtime. Otherwise, Mark Whitley looks settled in to be locked in for the Elite 8 for once again a 3rd season for himself. Danny Cochran holding off contact for Ethan Smith. Door banging the 53 to the outside. Same spot that Ethan Smith saw himself get disqualified last season. A chance for himself, and oh boy, more contact. Eric Stamp giving contact to Ethan Smith. Oh, and the drama for the 00 does not go away here in North Wilkesboro.
No, it does not. It always seems like it's around this 00 team. They're getting caught up in something. But right now, will Stamp go back at him here down to 3? I think he's going to hold off for now, as he's definitely trying to get back at that 00.
2 laps to go, and Mark Whitley in comfortable positioning for himself as he hits the backstretch down into turns 3 and 4. He's hoping for the white flag, and it looks like it will be there for him, as it's the Larry Art Productions white flag for Mark Whitley. What a season this 77 has had for himself, as he's looked clean, green for himself, and all the time up front he is going for another win and another back-to-back this season. Mark Whitley, first driver into the Elite 8 for the 77.
Domination from that 77 team, and he's into that round of 8. He's going to love that time to get prepared for that. It's going to send definitely shakes through the field, knowing that the 77 is going to have even that extra week to get prepared for that one.
And Logan Breakey losing 2 positions after getting bumped by Dakota Moniz. Loss of time for the 29 and the 5 late. But the 77 of Mark Whitley give him his 6th win of the season, locked into the Elite 8 for his 3rd season for himself. As he gets to burn it down, we'll be back. We're going to talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Tonight, it was the start of the round of 12, and we've got one driver already locked in to our Elite 8. It's the 77 of Mark Whitley. The numbers just aligned as he is now officially into a chance for that championship. As we go to victory lane, we got Mark Whitley with us. Mark, we looked at the numbers. He qualified 7 in the 77. It just seemed like it was fitting to see yourself in victory lane with that lineup. Man, how are you feeling after that win here tonight?
Feels really good. I was second guessing myself after some early strategy, but I'm glad it paid off in the end.
That it really did, Mark. It paid off in the end, man, and you missed those incidents that happen around you there. And we saw you took the tires early in that first stage. Then you took 2 tires at the end of the stage. Did that have any effect on the balance for you or anything for that longer run that we actually had?
Well, I took 2 because really, I didn't really have that many green flag laps on that set of tires, but I figured I needed some. And it was honestly a very, like, I was probably 5 pit boxes away, and I was yelling at Brantley, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Like, I had a feeling I needed track position because I was just stuck behind the other cars, even with fresher tires. So I figured if I get out front, hopefully, the left sides weren't too bad and it wouldn't free the car up too much. But it actually seemed like it helped the car rotate a little bit. Like, it didn't get overly loose, and I was able to, get out front and get around Jesse after one of the restarts and just kind of set sail. I really didn't want to see any of those last cautions. I just wanted to see it go green, but we were able to get a couple of good jumps on the restart. With 2 to go coming to the white flag, I think I was hustling it probably the most I'd had for half the race, trying to get back around the white flag. So heard some people getting mad with each other. I'm like, oh, please don't wreck before I get back to this start finish line. So it was a little nerve wracking there at the end, but 2 in a row in the playoffs, something we didn't do last season, I don't think. And, lock ourselves into the next round. Should be a nice and easy time next week.
Well, Mark, I mean, we always talk about spotters being helpful, and we saw there early when you decided to go into pit road in that first stage and you had to get around some traffic. Danny Cochran followed you into pit road. He got caught up in that incident while you were able to avoid it. How much was that just natural instincts to get around some of those wrecks, or was that a lot of help from your spotter?
It was a little bit of both, honestly. I knew it was going to be kind of hairy getting through the field. Short track, there's a chance, being that far back. The track's only but so wide, so once cars start wrecking, the track can get blocked really quick. So I was really just trying to follow Danny, let him do all the hard work, and just kind of follow him through. And then we came off of 2, and I saw them kind of getting a little sketchy, so I lifted a little bit, and then they got into each other, and I pretty much went almost in the grass on the left, just trying to avoid it. And I think I got hit in the rear, just people checking up not quick enough. But I think Danny got quiet out of that. And after that, I knew as long as we could get back up the front, we'd be in a really good spot, because he was one of the cars to beat here last season. He started on pole and was one of the faster cars in practice, and he's been leading up until we pitted. So I knew with him out, it was going to be anybody's game, and I just tried to step up and make it mine.
It certainly looked like yours for the majority of that second half of this race. Well, Mark, congratulations on your win here tonight and locking yourself into the Elite 8. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Oh, yeah, big shout-out Brantley over at Harpoon Design. I know I got him literally right for, I think, 5 minutes before, or it might have been right during qualifying. He finally added the wind sticker from last week onto this truck, and I can't appreciate all the hard work he does on the paint schemes. And check him out at harpoondesign.com. He does awesome work. You can fill out a form over there, and he'll get back to you pretty quick. I think it's usually same day or next day he'll get back to you with that. Big shout out to the league. I know it's a tough track, a lot of cautions, but for the most part, at least when I was in the middle of the field, it seemed like it was a lot of clean racing, a lot of hard racing. But we didn't have any major controversy like last season when we had people sitting there trying to take aim at each other. So I think that's a step in the right direction. It's a lot of great guys out here, and playoff drama can get everybody a little bit up on the wheel a little bit too much sometimes. But I think we did pretty good out here tonight. And I guess final shout out to you guys putting on an awesome broadcast. It should be fun to go back and watch. I won't have to be stressing it anymore, and just gonna enjoy the view.
You certainly are, as you are the first driver officially locked into the Elite 8. Congratulations on that, and enjoy your time at that of Nashville Superspeedway next week.
Sounds good, guys.
Well, that's the 77 of Mark Whitley getting the win, as now we head to second place, where Trenton Jump tried his best to stick with our leader, but just was not able to get close enough. Trenton and Sam and Zach up in the booth, congratulations on second place. Man, how are you feeling after that performance here tonight?
Well, with how it went here last season, this feels like a win pretty much. So I got good stage points and ended up second. I can't really complain. I just came here to buffer points and just try to be comfortable going in the next week. I hate Wilkesboro with a burning passion, so I'm just kind of glad to get out of here clean. I didn't put a dent in the truck. I didn't get a 4X. I didn't have nothing happen all night. So hey, it feels like a win.
Yeah, nice clean night for you here tonight, Trenton. Man, that's got to be good for you. And heading into Nashville Super Speedway next week to close out the round, you finished second there last season. How's the confidence going into that track?
Well, the guy that beat me last season's not here no more, so technically that means I should win next week. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I like Nashville, flows well, and as long as I don't have to run second to anybody and get stuck in anybody's dirty air, I think it should be a pretty fun race.
Well, Trent, certainly it seemed like it was a clean run for you for most of the night. Saw your teammates have a little bit of drama with other drivers. How are you feeling, though, on the drama side? Because I know it was very thick through last season. Are you feeling any stress of other drivers? Are you feeling like, for yourself, it's a lot more of a respectful run through this playoff stint?
I don't think I have bad blood with anybody right now. So as far as I'm concerned, it's how it's gonna stay. If that's what they want to get wrapped up in, that's on them. I did it last season, and I took the big end of the stick, and I ended things on my terms, and I got pushed around in this league for a long time, and it was time. It was my turn to stand up to that. So I feel like I really haven't had an issue with it this season. It's really been a really clean, consistent season, and so far this playoffs, it's been clean. So can't really complain too much.
Well, you come away second here tonight. Certainly a good points day heading into Nashville. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank the admins for putting this thing together and allowing me to run here every week. It's been a fun league. It's been a privilege to be a champion of it. I want to thank you guys at Freaky Fast for broadcasting this thing. I love going back and watching the broadcast after I have a good race. Love going back and watching it. I want to thank my teammates at Armadillo Motorsports, Eric, Logan, and Noah, Tanner, the owner, and then I just want to thank Justin for painting this beautiful truck that I have the honor to run every week.
Well, that is going to be the 46 machine of Trenton Jump. Congratulations on second, and good luck at Nashville next week.
Yeah, talk to you boys next week.
As that's the 46 machine, second place finisher. And now we head to third place, as we're going to be talking to that of Ollie Fonseca in the 24, who had a very long day for himself, but still comes away third. Ollie, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You start out today, certainly not on the right foot for yourself. Had that EOL penalty coming over from last week. Started in the back half of the field, but Ollie, man, second, coming away with third place, almost second. How are you feeling after the way that this roller coaster of a race went?
Yeah, from starting in the back, it went just about as well as you can hope for. I'm just ready to move on to Nashville. I feel like I did my job and did what I need to do, and I'm just yeah, I'm pretty content with it. Can't complain.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it had to be nerve-wracking times there about halfway through this race, because it seemed like, you were just in the wrong place at the wrong times for a lot of those incidents. How close, because we were concerned up in the booth for a few people out there for an incident limit. How close were you to that?
Right before I got out of the rat's nest there, I was up to 15 out of 20. So I knew I could, if something were to happen, I'd have one more, last straw, but I didn't want to have to resort to that. But yeah, that was definitely stressful. That was probably my biggest concern. I might have tried to push a little bit harder to try to run Nick and Trenton down. But yeah, part of me and Brandon just didn't really want to risk that. Also, I was just trying to save tires. I got to be honest with you, I kind of wish that run there had gone green to the end. I was starting to catch Nick there. I saw him get loose off the corner, and I was, about ready to take the position from him. And then we got the yellow. I kind of wanted to see that play out, but it is what it is. Just did what we need to do, and yeah, hopefully we can get something similar over at Nashville and make the next round.
Well, speaking of Nashville, how are you feeling like you're going to be able to perform there next week? As it was the regular season finale last season, and how are you feeling like you could try to carry some of the momentum of a top 3 finish tonight into next week?
Um, Yeah, I mean, if I just keep on practicing and doing what I've been doing, like I don't know if I really, obviously after tonight I'm not in a must win, so I just need to. I said at the start of the playoffs, just no mistakes, keep it consistent, and so far, other than giving the wall a kiss at the Daytona road course, I've been pretty clean, so just hoping to keep that up, and yeah, we'll just see what happens. Hopefully, the luck stays on my side.
Well, hopefully. Well, Ollie, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout out.
Yep. Thanks, Brandon, again. Just awesome job at helping me do what I got to do. Whole time he's just telling me to keep it smooth and save the tires, and that's exactly what I did, and it paid off like it usually does. So thanks to him. Thanks to my grandparents and my parents there for watching like they do every night. I know they were biting their nails with the incident limit ordeal like you guys were. And yeah, just thanks to you guys for putting this on, and I can't wait for the next race here.
Can't wait for it either, Ollie. Congratulations on third, and good luck next week at Nashville.
Thanks, guys.
Well, now we go from third place to our spotlight driver, one of our non-playoff drivers that had one of the best runs of the season and had given a better run than last time that he was here at North Wilkesboro. We got Martin Morales with us. Martin, congratulations on a fabulous run here tonight, coming away with 6th place, which is your best finish of this season. Man, how are you feeling after that type of performance?
I feel pretty darn good, man. I I feel bad for causing that yellow at the end of that long run. I was catching Ollie, I think it was Nick also, and I was trying to take care of the tires, but I just lost concentration off of two and caused the yellow. But overall, I'm just really happy with the strong run because I don't have too many of those. I know that towards the end of this season, I've been getting a little better, getting a little more practice in, and I want to shout out to Danny, Ollie, and Tyler for helping me out with some practice laps here last night. They gave me some tips, and it really helped out, and just want to shout out those guys for sure.
It was definitely a great race for you, Martin, man. I mean, take us through what do you think really suited you here tonight? Because it seemed like you were just up there the whole time until, like you said, that unfortunate spin.
Yeah, the initially my plans for these races are, start in the back and just kind of keep the truck clean and, maybe make some moves at the end. But I figured this time if I can get a good qualifying run and get towards the front, just try to maintain that track position. And I did. I got started sixth, I think. And I just figured, why not just try to hang on to it? And it was working out well. So I just stayed up there as long as I could, got some stage points, and just kind of try to avoid the wrecks as best I could. Just got clipped a little bit once in one of the wrecks, but not too bad of damage, and just try to just be careful and save the tires as much as I could for when we did get a longer run, which we did. And then I just, lost a little concentration there, but it helped me get a new set to start. It wasn't too far back, luckily, because of the lap cars and the cars that got knocked out. So I was able to work back up, and I feel like I could have got close to the top three. I was behind Danny there for a while, and kind of wanted to push the issue, but also didn't want to mess up, his playoffs. And he helped me with, some tips, so I didn't want to mess with him too much. So, but overall, I'm really happy with tonight.
A very solid run. And Martin, going into Nashville Superspeedway next week, Dover, and then the 2008 configuration of Atlanta, how are you feeling like you're going to be able to perform in these next three races?
I feel like I can keep it up as long as I can get some practice laps in. That seems to be the key, this past month or so. More on the ovals. If I get practice laps in, I'll kind of do better instead of just figuring it out during the race, and by that time I'm behind. But yeah, just hopefully get some practice and keep it strong, and then get some momentum towards next season.
Well, we can't wait to see how well you perform moving forward. Congratulations on 6th place, Martin, and hopefully we'll see you with the top 5 next week.
All right, guys, thanks.
Well, that is going to be your spotlight driver here tonight, as well as our top 3. Big thanks to all of them for coming out and having a conversation with us after the race was done. Now let's take a look at where the unofficial results are for tonight's Old Green Garage 108 at North Wilkesboro. You can see it on screen. Drivers certainly had eventful days with the marks in the grass, and it was wild. But it was the 77 Mark Whitley that got himself into victory lane, and with the first place finish and locking himself to run into the next round, with Trent Jump in second, Ollie Fonseca third, Nick Crawford fourth, fifth goes to Danny Cochran, Mark Morales gets sixth, Cody Reed seventh, eighth goes to Ethan Smith, Eric Stamp ninth, and Christopher Norris finishing out our top 10.
Well, man, I mean, you look at some of the rest of this order. 11th there for Matt Upbrook. That's a great recovery for him, who had tons of damage early in the race. So he brings it home at 11th. Good run for him to at least, not make that gap too much. And John Ford was back in 14th, another playoff driver. And, tough nights for a few out there, but it's still, is one of those short track races that it ends up having its ebbs and flows of yellows and greens that just seem to mesh together.
And I mean, yes, we saw a lot of our playoff drivers caught up in a lot of those messes, but at least we can say our top, 12 that are still in the playoffs, able to come away with solid finishes all around, with Dakota Moniz going to be the lowest finisher in 15th, meaning, Zach, those bonus points at the stage going to be massive, as well as other bonus points that drivers were able to grasp for themselves. And it's going to be a very close and hot heavy 12 drivers racing at that of Nashville Superspeedway next week to see who's going to take the final 7 spots, as Mark is taking one of our round of 8 positions.
He has taken that one position so far, and we'll see who will join him there next week, next Monday night. And I mean, Nashville Superspeedway coming up, man, that's going to be an interesting racetrack. I mean, you heard Trent Jump talk about it. He got second there last season, and the driver beat him. Is it in the league? No more. So maybe he'll be able to go there and feel like heading, lock himself in the good old-fashioned way. So we'll see how that works, because any bonus points you can occur to, carry over to that next round will be so viable to try to get into that Final Four.
That it certainly will be, as next week, Nashville Superspeedway is our next destination. But before then, we got plenty of other racing action to cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Starting off with tomorrow night, it's the Full Send Racing Series and their trucks tackling Dover as they're getting themselves into the final push of who's going to make the playoffs. As well, on Wednesday, Wicked Racing League, it's a cutoff race. Who's moving on to the next round in their playoffs, as Michigan going to be the destination for the next gen Cup cars on Wednesday night. Then ARCA getting themselves into their playoff stint, as it's the first race of the playoffs for the Stars and Stripes on Thursday night. Saturday, it's WSSR heading to the Roval. Exciting to see their final push. Just 2 more races until playoffs begin for themselves. And then we're right back here Monday night, ISRC coverage. And Zach, again, I'm looking at the schedule for these drivers. Nashville Superspeedway, Dover, Atlanta. These next 3 races all seem to be suiting some of the drivers that really struggled here tonight, which means it is going to be more exciting each race that we go into.
I can't agree more. I think some of those tracks really suit the drivers who had tough nights tonight. So we could see it being mixed up for sure. I'm sure it's going to be close when we get, drop the cut line down to 8 next week at Nashville. And then after Atlanta, man, I mean, I tell you, it's going to be fun to see who that Final Four is competing for a championship here at ISRC, because we've seen how competitive it's been. There's been drivers that, week in and week out have been threats, and then, a few drivers that are starting to make more claims for being, on the top spot more often, such as Mark Whitley, who's really starting to turn out late into the season to be the driver to beat, in my opinion. So we'll see if that 77 can go and get that elusive championship that has eluded him so far, or will it be one of the other 12 drivers left?
Who will be a part of the action and have still a chance for a championship? All those answers, all those questions will be answered next week. But for tonight, it's all that of the 77 and Mark Whitley. Congratulations on your win. And for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching with us, as you've gotten to see some amazing North Wilkesboro racing coverage. Again, our next broadcast tomorrow night for that of the stars. For that of the Full Send Racing Series as the trucks get ready for Dover. But for us tonight, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hull, and for Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching, and we will see you on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.